Hi, guys. Let's get into a reading. Thank you for your likes, your comments, your subscribes, and to those of you who have booked a personal reading with me. Please keep in mind that these are general messages, so do not take them personally. Take the messages that resonate and leave the rest behind. If you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can find that information in the description box below. Let's get into it. What message do you have for the collective at this time? Help me to articulate a clear and concise message in order for it to be received in the way that you want it to best be received. Help me to see what it is I need to see to get the message across as clear as possible. And help me to deliver any message that you deem worthy in order to serve your highest good, for the highest good of humanity with harm to none. What messages do you have for the collective at this time? What messages do you have for the collective at this time? Okay. Are the cards going to act right today or what? There's a strong energy of self-love and protection here. You've got boundaries. You've got control. And listen to your body will transform at the bottom of the deck. So you for sure are in this space of making changes in your life, making changes in the way that you live, making changes in the way that you run your day, right? It's almost as if you're setting a different level of self-respect and self-love and self-care for yourself, right? You're learning how to be more in a space of discipline. You're learning to exist in a space of just more general healthy matters, right? You are in a space where you are really learning how to listen, uh, see, and feel what it means to experience true love in your mind, in your body, in your spirit, right? Because before you may have been in a space where you um were just kind of existing out of the space of want and not necessarily moving out of the space of love and true, existing in a space of need and true unconditional love, right? I tried to record this video before, and the example that I used was, it was kind of the same message coming out, different cards, but the same energy. And what I received from that is maybe you were indulging in things that you knew weren't healthy for you, but they felt good to you in the moment, right? So maybe you drink, right? Maybe you have certain addictions or certain bad habits, whether if that's like to sugar or liquor or whatever it is, right? For you, just something that feels good to you in the moment, but you know that in the long run it's only doing detriment to your body and to the world around you, right? Whereas now you're stepping into a space where you're more mindful of what it means to be more disciplined and to be more discerning about what true love looks like and what it means to truly experience that, right? It requires a different level of discipline and a different level of devotion to yourself, right? To know that sometimes in the moment it doesn't feel good, right? Because sometimes we just want to feed our flesh, right? We just want to feed our wants, and to kind of just satisfy a craving of what it is that we want in that moment. When in reality, we know that that's not the healthiest thing for us because it's not providing any life, right? It's only taking away life from us, right? And so you're in this space where you are kind of like transforming that about yourself, right? Where you are becoming more mindful about the things that you consume and how it affects your body, your mind, your heart space, your environment, your circumstances, right? You have a different level of control when it comes to what it's like to experience um, love and protection within yourself, right? Setting healthier boundaries, right? Not in a sense of blocking things out, but in a sense of maintaining your health to the highest frequency, holding yourself to a higher standard so that you don't align yourself with things that only take with nothing to give in return, right? Let's pull some tarot. This is ultimately transforming your life in a sense, right? This is calling in your manifestations. I'm being really drawn to like the birds and the butterflies, right? Where you're really experiencing a sense of freedom. You're really experiencing a sense of growth within yourself, right? Because there may have been a space and time where you didn't necessarily know what it meant um, to feel protected, right? You may have been in a space where you were experiencing what you thought was freedom because to you it felt like you had no checks and balances, right? You had no one to kind of correct you or redirect you, not in a sense of reprimanding you, although sometimes we need that, right? But not in a sense of like, you're in trouble, more so in a sense of holding you accountable to the own standards that you have for yourself, right? Keeping you in the space of living the life that you speak, right? Taking action towards the life that you truly envision for yourself, right? So if you say that you want to create a new healthy habit, right? Or you just really like it's almost as if like what you thought was freedom prior to this moment, you realize was really a prison that you were holding yourself in, right? Because it didn't allow you the space to truly be who you are internally, right? It was almost as if like you were uh how can I put this into words? Living life with no boundaries doesn't always equate freedom. I don't know how else to put that into simpler terms, right? True freedom is existing existing wholly in the peace that you set for yourself, right? So if you're in this space where you physically feel free, but mentally you're trapped, emotionally you're trapped, spiritually you're trapped, you're not truly existing in your freedom because you're overthinking everything, right? You can't really express yourself in the way that you truly desire to, right? You feel like you have to um, hold yourself in a way so that you don't experience what you perceive as damage or hurt, right? And you don't get to exist spiritually in a sense of freedom because you are masking who you truly are to fit in environments that don't truly welcome you as you are, right? So you're constantly overthinking, you have no clarity, you have no real sense of understanding, the vision is blurry. You're kind of wandering aimlessly trying to find, a clear sense of direction when really all you need to do is learn to sit with yourself, to look, feel, and experience what that would look like in the world around you, and to truly set the boundaries that will put you in that position, right? Sometimes that means cutting people off, or not necessarily cutting people off, but again, setting healthier boundaries. Whatever that looks like for you, it's more specific to your personal story. You know the details of your life. I'm here reading a collective general message, so take it as it resonates. If this is not the message for you, or you have no idea what I'm talking about, this is probably not your reading, right? But that can just mean, say you're having health issues, for example, and you know that to truly exist in a sense of freedom, to release the confinement of experiencing such health restrictions, you know that you have to put yourself on a stricter diet. You have to put yourself on a strict workout plan, right? And so one is the perception of freedom, while the other one is the reality of freedom, right? And that's kind of just the gist of what I'm trying to say. Clarify boundaries. The messages come out so different when I channel at night. Clarify boundaries. The Fool with the Eight of Wands. Hold on, I dropped the card. Okay. Yeah. So you're taking a new direction. You're understanding, the Page of Pentacles. You're understanding what it means to truly set healthy boundaries for yourself. Exactly what I just said. I really just, I said it all. And this is you choosing to take that risk to step into the place where you are holding yourself to a different standard, meaning that you're going to have to set boundaries for yourself so that you can truly exist in freedom as opposed to living in the perception of freedom. Right. You're taking a risk on yourself to get to know yourself, to create change in yourself, right? To create a better you, to communicate with yourself better, right? To be able to receive clarity about your dreams, your desires, where it is that you truly wish to go, the next direction that you're meant to take in this life, right? Because it seems as if you were looking for a true source of clarity, a real sense of this is where you're meant to go next. But you couldn't really receive a firm answer because the perception of freedom that you were living in was clouding your judgment. But now you're in this space where you are really trying to set a different level of clarity and openness within yourself so that you're able to receive that clear sense of direction, right? Clarify control. It's almost like you're really looking for a way out, trying to free yourself from the confinement of your own prison, of your own limits that you set yourself to because you may have been in a space where you were just comfortable settling for less because it meant that you didn't have to expect more of yourself. But in that same effort, you were trying to expect more from the reality that you were trying to force a connection with, right? You may have been placing yourself in environments where you know that you didn't fit, but you were trying to make those environments fit your standards instead of removing yourself and placing yourself in environments that would challenge you, right? So now the opposite is happening. You're being required to stretch, to release yourself from the confinement of things that no longer fit, right? Why keep trying to shove your foot in a shoe that clearly is not your size? It only causes confusion because mentally you feel or you perceive that it's a safe, comfortable environment because it's not requiring much of you. Why is it not requiring much of you? Because you're settling to fit the standards of that environment so that you can experience what you perceive as freedom. We got the Emperor, the Ace of Wands, and the Seven of Cups. Clarifying control, yeah. The Emperor sometimes can be overly controlling in a sense of being stubborn and unwilling to learn. But in this deck, the Emperor is a little bit more flexible, right? He's a little bit more attuned to the feminine energy, right? And it's clarifying the control. So that speaks to the frequency that you're stepping into, right? Where you are now welcoming the idea of opening yourself up to change, opening yourself up to the environment where you're not always the smartest person in the room, right? Because that may have been the case. You may have felt like you were always the smartest person in the room and you were trying to bring everybody with you, or you were trying to, if you're always the smartest person in the room, it's time to introduce yourself to a new environment, right? Because what growth is happening within you if there's nothing that you can learn in those situations, right? Again, setting yourself to a lower standard than what you truly desire to exist in. Trying to bend the free will of others to force it into the perception of your free will. Because again, it's not truly freedom if you're still confined and restricted from existing in your true identity, right? The devil, I'm holding this at the bottom of the deck and I didn't even see it the whole time. You were holding yourself to your addictions, holding yourself to your fears, holding yourself to your bad habits, holding yourself to your traumas, right? Holding yourself to relationships that you had outgrew, but because they felt so familiar, you just stayed, right? Because why would I, it's almost as if like you were experiencing a moment of like, why would you let go of something that feels safe and secure, but only because it doesn't require much of me, when in reality, it was taking everything from you, right? The devil. It was taking everything from you because your fears were keeping you bound from living the real freedom that you were craving. Clarify, listen to your body. This is a new beginning for you. The Seven of Swords, but it came out in the reverse. The Six of Pentacles. Yeah. And the Two of Pentacles. Now's the time you have to stop lying to yourself. You have to stop lying to yourself and you have to start giving back to yourself. You have to start being you have to start communicating with yourself, right? Being honest with what it is that truly feels safe in your mind, in your body, in your spirit. The Goddess of Wands. Is what you're creating really feeding your passion? Is it really feeding your desires? Is it really feeding your soul, your spirit? Or is it just putting you in environments where you're not required to be stretched, right? Also, too, I'm seeing too, like being in a place where you perceive freedom to exist, but everything in that environment is expecting more from you than you are able to give. But because you're so willing, you offer it so freely, meaning it's taking, but you're not being fed in the same way. Therefore, you're lying to yourself about what makes you feel comfortable, about what makes you feel safe, about what makes you feel loved, about what makes you feel secure, about what you perceive to be honest. Because a bold lie to you was somehow better than a harsh truth. And that made you feel comfortable because the bold lie almost catered to the parts of yourself that you were trying to suppress in your subconscious. Whereas the harsh truth forces you to make changes about what it means to truly exist in unconditional love, unconditional freedom, right? Let's pull 4 cards to close this message out. You're in a period of transformation, and not through the lens of perception, but through action, bold action to make physical changes in your life, to actually put forth the effort to one, stop lying to yourself, and two, to stop listening to the lies that other people feed you just to feed your ego, right? Let's pull 4 cards. 1 card for what we can learn as the major lessons surrounding this message. 1 card for the opportunities we can create surrounding this message. 1 card for what we can meditate on as the focus of this message. And 1 card for what we can innovate to contribute to our growth and expansion surrounding this message. 1 card for what we can learn. You were denying yourself of something. Comfort and limits. Oh my God. I don't even need the cards at this point. I don't even need the cards. Learn how to challenge your ego a little bit better, right? To set healthier boundaries for yourself so that you don't have to feel the need to protect your insecurities by listening to the lies of people who will tell you anything just to get what they want from you, right? That's not comfort. That's not safety. That's not security, right? that only digs you into a deeper hole of denying yourself of your true identity. Now is the time for you to test your limits within yourself. You see a potential within yourself, and now it's time to act on it, right? Stop listening to people who lie to you about the potential that they see within you. But place yourself in environments who truly challenge those limits for you to take action to show and prove that you are who you have the potential to be, right? So that you can feel safe and comfortable in existing in who you truly are within the discipline and the discernment and the devotion to that potential, right? Give yourself a chance to prove who you are to you. You don't need the validation from other people who tell you what you want to hear, not because they truly believe in you, because they don't believe in themselves fully. They only do what they can. They don't push themselves past those limits. You have a desire to push yourself past those limits. And now is the time to walk in that. Nothing about it will be easy. You will have to learn how to balance in the beginning. But once you gain your footing, you'll see the difference that it makes in your life. You'll see the difference that it makes in the way that you think, in the way that you perceive, in the way that you move, in the way that you exist, right? In the things that you choose to entertain, in the conversations that you choose to entertain, right? Because consumption is more than food and TV, right? We consume many things during the day. And so find the balance in walking in the guidance that you receive, right? To make the necessary changes and to not ignore those signs or synchronicities, right? Because there could have been many signs and synchronicities that you were receiving to make small changes at a time, but you were ignoring them because they weren't feeding your perception of freedom. It required too much work and too much effort from you, which would take away from the freedom or the idea of freedom that you had created for yourself. But to truly experience freedom is to truly be disciplined, is to truly have boundaries, is to truly set a pace of security where you can extend, where you can grow, where you can learn, where you can challenge, right? One card for the opportunities we can create surrounding this message. Cycle. Yeah. With peace. If y'all don't see what the fuck going on here, I don't know what else to tell you. It's time to evolve. It's time to grow. It's time. It's time to grow up. Right? It's time to face those growing pains. It's time to be willing to accept the challenges that will make you a better version of you. Right? It's time to really experience the peace that you so desire. It's time to live in that freedom the true freedom, that's going to require your discipline. It's going to require your commitment. It's going to require your devotion. It's going to be hard. It's going to be challenging, but it will be so freeing. It will be so peaceful. It will be so calm. It will be so beautiful. You will experience so much growth. You will experience so much abundance, right? So much newness. Because that's essentially what we perceive freedom to be, right? Newness, to always have something new, to always experience something new, to always be able to pick up and go and to not be confined. Boundaries don't confine you if you set them in a healthy manner, right? But it's time to create that space of growth for you to step into who you're meant to be. You're being called to be a better version of you, to be a bigger version of you, to be a healthier version of you. And that's going to require some discipline, some boundaries, some acknowledgement of some of your fears, of some of your addictions, of some of your bad habits, of some of your traumas, right? It's of the things that you're holding on to that no longer serve you, and the ways in which you've regressed as opposed to evolve. But you'll make it. You'll come out on the other side very peaceful, very harmonious, very serene. One card for what we can meditate on as the focus of this message. The cards be flipping, but they don't always, Sadness with uncertainty. Yeah. Meditate on what is it that you're holding on to that is keeping you or was holding you to this perception of freedom, but was really causing you to be defensive to your own growth. Meditate on what you've buried so deep in your subconscious that you are too afraid to face it. Because you don't know what it's going to look like when you dig it back up. Meditate on why you're so afraid of truly experiencing freedom, in the sense that in that space, you won't always know what's coming next, because it will place you in environments that will force you to live in the true being of who you are in that moment, right? The definition of authenticity. Existing in a moment, having no prior knowledge, no prior preparation, to force an image, to force a way of being, to force a way of speaking or existing, just so that you can feel safe or comfortable or secure in that moment. Because you don't want to be perceived as someone who didn't know or who wasn't prepared. You don't want to be perceived as ignorant because you didn't have the answer. Meditate on why you're so afraid of learning. Meditate on why you're so afraid of existing in the space of just simply not having the answer, but being willing to learn in the moment. Meditate on what you're holding on to that's keeping you stuck in that place of regression, of doubt. And meditate on what it will look like for you to truly experience faith. Not hope, not desire, but faith. To truly know that what you perceive is, Because if you can see it, then it exists in some reality, even if it's not in your current physical reality. But because you have the ability to perceive it, it must exist somewhere, which means it must be able to be obtained, right? One card for the new cycles and habits we can innovate to contribute to our growth and expansion. We have search and unveiling at the bottom of the deck. Yeah. It's time to look at yourself on a much deeper level. It's time to remove the cloak from yourself. Remove yourself from environments where you perceive freedom and place yourself in environments where you can truly exist in freedom, right? And it's time for you to take those blinders off. Stop lying to yourself about who you are in this moment, even when you're not acting like it. It's time to stop lying to yourself about the space that you're in currently. It's time to stop lying to yourself about what you've been hiding from yourself. And it's time to do some research within yourself about what it's going to take for you to truly experience the width of potential that you have the ability to experience in this reality, right? Because God is placing something on your doorstep. The past few readings have told us that you're in a new cycle, but you can't bring your old self into this new phase. You're going to have to separate the two. You're going to have to disconnect from who you were in the past and grow into who it is that you're becoming so that you can exist in the future that you truly desire. So think about what it is that's truly going to be required of you. Think about what discipline and what devotion and what commitment is going to look like in this new phase for you to truly exhibit the freedom that you're trying to attain, right? But that is the message that I have for you guys. I hope that it resonates. I know that if you made it to the end of this video, you have found something in it that is worthy and valuable to you. Thank you for watching. Bye.